Hello and welcome to the Cameo Show. I'm your host, Cameo, and today we are joined by my husband and co-host, Mr. Greg Braun.
How's everybody doing?
Greg starts us with a dad joke. Greg?
Why did the sad ghost use the elevator?
I don't know.
To lift his spirits.
Oh, very cute. And it's timely. It's almost Halloween.
Ooh.
It's going to get spooky up in here. I'm about to start decorating. I haven't been given permission yet because it's not October. Today we are going to explore the idea that sometimes you think you know what you want, and it might not work out exactly like you thought or like you had wished, but you get a really great story, and the story ends up being better than what you thought you wanted. Because Greg just had that happen, and you literally couldn't make this up. It's insane. So take us back to the very beginning of this story when you received a text from a buddy.
Yeah, so a buddy of mine texted me and said, "Hey, you got a second to talk? Now, I got a question about music, music stuff." So I was like, "Sure." And he was like, "Hey, we're just in a situation where we need a song, a custom song for this special monster truck that was just rolled out." I was like, "Wow, that's amazing. Sure, I would love to do that." So,
Hang on. He wasn't just like, wow, that's amazing. He was like secretly, quietly jumping up and down.
yeah,
I was witness to that because this is like something that you've been working on doing, submitting music for production with regard to like commercials or movies or scenes, like instrumental music.
yep.
And this friend happens to work in the entertainment industry, and this was for Monster Jam. Like this wasn't like a little tiny opportunity. This was a big deal. So it was exciting, and it's okay that you were excited and jumping up and down about it.
Yeah, I was thrilled.
Yeah, it
I was
was
thrilled
exciting.
just to have the opportunity,
Yeah.
It's funny because up until that point, I hadn't really had like a whole lot of opportunities to create custom songs like that. I wanted to, but it was just like, wow, this is a pretty big chance to do this. And I immediately felt a ton of pressure. Up until that point, I wrote music for me, for fun, because I enjoyed doing it. And it's just what I love to do, period.
Mm-hmm.
But now it was
Judgment.
for judgment.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it was like, and not just judgment by just random people, like judgment of people that are potentially going to buy and license the song, and like it was going to be played in stadiums and like a big deal. So I was like, pressure,
Yeah.
pressure city. So it was almost paralyzing for me.
I've never really seen him struggle to create. He's the kind of musician or artist who takes a blank canvas and kind of makes a mess of it and then makes something beautiful out of that mess by like cleaning things up and removing this here and adding this here, and somehow it ends up being a masterpiece. Like,
Eh,
well,
eh.
that was generous.
Yeah,
But
not a
it ends up being something really amazing
tolerable,
from it's
tolerable.
more than tolerable.
It'll
It
be.
ends up
It's okay.
it's I mean, it'll work. No, I mean not a lot of people can do that freely. I personally struggle with that. I know a lot of people have trouble taking nothing and making something of it, and you can do that sonically time and time and time again. But when you were given not only like parameters and vibe, but also a timeline and this big kind of grandiose idea of what it could be, you kind of like got all
Yeah,
nervous, and then your creative juices went out the window. So he
yeah,
would pull me in and be like, "Hey, what do you think about this start?" And it was so like timid and like
safe.
safe and scared. Like it was just
Yeah,
like, "What? No, you're serious?" Like
yeah.
I didn't want to be I wasn't being mean, of course, but I was shocked at your like reservation and really going for it.
The whole process was just a lot of wood shopping. So I would like start a song and like build it out for a couple days, and then be like, and then just move on to something new. So I had a bunch of these,
Yeah.
you know,
That's what they were. They were
yeah,
meh.
yeah, and just nothing, nothing, nothing. I always like to share with Cameo, like once I get a song kind of built out, let her listen to it and see what her vibe is, because I trust her ear, because she is very left-brained and very logical when it comes to her approach to playing music, and it's
Mathematical
more
equation.
mathematical and right or wrong and in key and in pitch and timing, and I'm just like, it's just a big messy canvas to me where I'm just throwing stuff everywhere. So I finally let her listen to these couple songs, and she was like, "Yep, send those out." And I was like, "Okay, all right."
Well, let me back you up and remind you of something. You were working on a different song that was not for this.
Oh, that's right. Yeah,
It had lyrics, and you were like writing this kind of like
true.
rock anthem song. And you actually asked me to listen to that because
Yeah,
you thought you were like almost done with the whole song.
yeah.
And I came in and I listened to the song, and it was great. I mean, the lyrics were fine, everything was fine, but I'm like, this is the song. Like, this is the monster truck song. It's edgy, it's loud, it's theatrical. I'm like, take the lyrics off and just have the music and like work from there.
It was a totally different song with the lyrics gone.
Yeah. And
Yeah,
you were like, wow, okay. So he wasn't even like actually trying to create the song that he created for Monster Truck
yeah.
for Monster Truck when you kind of discovered that that was the direction that you wanted to go.
So I sent over a couple songs to him, and this is where the story goes absolutely crazy.
Now, wait, I have
Oh,
to interrupt you again. You can't skip over this small detail.
okay.
Time had gone on, and you kind of were like not only struggling to put this together, but kind of lost some wind in your sails because they had mentioned.
Oh, yeah. So what happened was a couple weeks after I found out about this opportunity, I had some devastating news that a actual real deal rock star was like going to do the song. Like they had somebody else was going to do it that was like a big deal. And I was like, who is it? And he was like, Joe Walsh from the Eagles. And I was like, oh wow, that's crazy. I'm like, already this story is worth everything. I don't care about anything else, that Joe Walsh stepped in and blocked me.
Yeah, right.
But I immediately was like, well, I'm still going to do this. I'm still going to try. And so that's when I just went to work and started making demos thinking now I'm competing with Joe Walsh, and I believed that I could put something together that would be better, that I could put in front of the judges, whoever's judging this, and be like, hey, this is good. We got to go with this. It's the best song.
It's not Joe Walsh,
It's
but
not,
it's the
yeah.
best song.
So fast forward, I sent him the songs, and it just so happened to be on the same day that the owners of this company like flew in from England on a private jet to present the Joe Walsh song. And come to find out, it wasn't just Joe Walsh on the song, it was Joe Walsh and Ringo Starr. So we have an eagle and a beetle.
And G5000, a battle of
So
the
so I don't
Monster
think I had
Jam.
a chance,
Yeah, right.
But so the story just ends up being so much better than what happened. And I'm so glad that, I stuck around to hear about the finale because it only got better with Ringo Starr added to the mix.
So let me just tie this back to, as our kids would say, everything's not a life lesson, guys, but
Yeah.
this is a life lesson. One, you never know what opportunities are going to present themselves. You just always have to be ready. If Greg hadn't been ready by constantly honing his craft, by making music, by sharing that he was making music and why he was making music, this friend of ours wouldn't have known and would have never reached out to you in the first place.
Right.
So, lesson number one, always be ready and share what you're doing so people know.
Yeah.
Lesson number two, you were kind of like told that you weren't needed anymore. Like
Yeah.
you were kind of softly let down, but you kept going and you decided that even though they don't need me because they have an eagle, literally someone from the Eagles doing this song now, I'm still going to do it because not only does it make me a better, it challenges me, it
Yep.
makes me a better producer and musician,
Yep.
but it also shows them that I'm tenacious and that I took this seriously, what I'm capable of, and opens up the door for maybe something potentially in the future if this wasn't the right opportunity.
Yeah.
So, lesson number two, don't just stop when somebody says no.
Yeah. And I can say a lot of the cool things that I've ever done in my life have happened after no.
Yeah.
After I've already had the door slammed in my face, I'm sorry, you're going to be second string. And I'm like, bullshit. Wait till the pads come on.
Yeah. All the way back
Or
to high school.
all the way back to high school. Or then pay the girl. We've already got a drummer. And I'm like, bullshit. I've got to try out. You've got to let me try out. Just being ready and being persistent when you hear no, being able to just keep going without losing the enthusiasm that you have when you start. And that is your superpower. You're just like relentless. If you want something, if you're going after something, you hear no and it does not stop you. And that's, that's how I strive to be, and I hope our kids are that way. And I just want to empower everyone listening that just because you hear that no doesn't mean you stop there, because you just never know what could happen.
Now, I must say, because I'm a mom and this is what pops into my head, no means no. So when somebody says no, you must respect people. But as it pertains to pursuing a goal
Yeah.
or a business relationship or something that's not in that context, no is just a suggestion at that point. You got to keep pursuing. You got to bet on yourself. Lesson number 3. You believed in your ability to create something great. You had to keep going to the drawing board. You had to entrust somebody that you knew could give you valuable feedback, but you bet on yourself and you kept showing up and you kept making it until you had great music to submit. And it was great. And you should share that song.
Yeah.
I don't know why you haven't released it yet. But lesson number 3 is bet on yourself.
I had never done a monster truck song. I had never done a huge commercial song, even though I would love to. It's not something that I can say that I've done before.
Mm-hmm.
So agreeing to take on a project like that was definitely above anything that I've ever done, just being honest,
And lesson number 4 is just to have a great attitude, because if you had a bad attitude about this situation, maybe didn't continue pushing, you wouldn't have this amazing story that it
Right.
was Joe Walsh and Ringo Starr and G5000. And they literally listened to your song right next to their song. And they ultimately went with Ringo Starr and Joe Walsh. But you have this amazing story to tell, even though you didn't get what you thought you wanted.
Yeah.
And that all has to do with perception and attitude and how you show up every day in your life. So I encourage you to take a look at opportunities in your life and judge whether or not you are readiness, whether or not you are tenacious in your pursuit, if you are prepared to bet on yourself, and you accept and respect the outcome, even if it's not what you think you want, and are open to the fact that it might actually be a way cooler thing than you could have ever imagined. And thank you, Greg, for sharing your story as an example for all of us to follow.
I just want everyone to understand that they deserve to chase their dreams at no matter what stage of life you're at, because there are so many amazing opportunities out there, but you just have to show up for them. You just have to make yourself available to these opportunities. So lean into life.
Yeah. Lean into life. That's great advice. Thank you so much for joining us on the Cameo Show. There are new episodes every Wednesday and a huge backlog of episodes if you haven't checked out any of those. More stories like this. I also have a free newsletter every Friday that's called The Weekly Reset. You can sign up at my website, www.cameoeleasebraun.com.
Thanks for listening.
Until next time.